Empire's Edge. I must actually be holding the book. You guys are smelling the book.
You believe you could duplicate a number of Inurriak communication styles.
Oh, I immediately start trying to replicate all the curse words that Shataska saw.
Sounds like they've fallen from a primacy. And that is why the council is in such long deliberation.
You've never heard the word Volya before. It refers to an underground hell.
Oh, yeah, I'll ask Shatask. What did I just say?
That you were like propositioning the drone.
Meet me back in my house.
It is just horrific how you're dressed and walking around. This is the plates of Inurriak, and it shall be fitted to you with the determination of your value and your resource, that we must have you engage in an incursion against another clan without our immediate support. So as they are building up to tell you what this mission is, what has to happen, you note that they're actually pulling their own light level down, that the light coming out of those windows that are above, those thin spots that are in the walls, whatever the light source is, they're diminishing that for whatever reason. And in the slightly darkened room, they say, you must make a raid on Clan Gagidrag. They hold Murjak's carapace, and that must be held in order to reclaim our rightful position as the leading clan. And they paused, waiting to see if any of you react in any particular way.
I'll ask if any of those names make sense, but I know for a fact they will not.
Well,
I mean, have we overheard any conversations?
Counteroffer, it does. That we're going to the current, either the current lead clan or another significant clan, ganking something from them, and then that means our side's in charge.
Sure.
And in that pause, they continue and say, Murjak's carapace is the carapace of one of the original city founders. It is a massive torso section of chitin.
How massive?
And they kind of move their arms this way and that way as they're shifting.
This big.
Yeah, that they might not
I
actually
once caught an
even.
Inurriak this big.
How many drones does it weigh?
It could be lifted by one sister, though it has some weight to it, more so than, and it touches its own carapace in that section that would be like the forward portion of its torso, and but nowhere near as heavy that as one of the shock troops.
And we've seen shock troops before. We can kind of gauge how big
yeah,
they are.
They're pretty
Yeah,
massive.
they're the ogre-sized version.
Oh, okay.
Our agreement was that after proving ourselves, we would be returned to the surface.
No, our agreement was we'd perform a few tasks for them, and then they'd return us to the surface.
Do we have any sort of a progress tracker for like
Right.
knowing when we fulfilled our debt?
Do you say any part of that out loud, or if are you just thinking it in this?
I'm
this
thinking out loud.
audience?
I'm trying to think of how would I phrase that in a way that doesn't sound ungrateful. I'm just saying, like I'll ask, like, how,
let us discuss the specifics of our bargain.
Yeah,
How many tasks will we need to fulfill before we are returned to hell?
that sounds like
and-
something Jacob would say.
And
Sure.
right, so even you thinking that, Jacob, the response that's coming to all of you would be, in essence, X, a variable, because it's goal oriented, and what you're getting from them, they're not hiding it, is that they want to return themselves to the ruling clan of the city,
Oh,
a role they've held before. So it isn't as though you could say, well, after 3 or 7, you're done.
okay.
It's going to
So
be whatever
after
tasks
we
are necessary. for
reinstate
them.
your role as
We've got
the
one
strongest.
Yeah, we've got one job, which is a citywide coup, which seems to be our skill set.
That does
honestly.
seem like something we normally do.
Um,
Have they heard about us?
yeah, right. Do you know
So
who
I'm
we are?
hearing they want us to burn it down because I feel like we're just going to burn
No,
it down.
they just
That's
want us
what
to
we
find the most
usually
valuable
do.
building and push it over.
Is this item on display, or is this item in a treasure house? Where do you know where it is in this alternative clan?
We know, of course, where their clan mansion is, but we do not know where inside the mansion it resides. We would think in one of the more important towers, probably in a central circle of one of the larger towers.
Okay. And how long has it been since you held this?
It has been, I guess kind of click, click. It has been like 80, 100. It's been like a long time.
And,
Wow.
And is this, if you had this, would that then return your house to power?
No. The restoration of this is the symbol of power. By taking this, it weakens them among all the clans.
Okay.
And that is a stipulation of this being returned. It cannot be known that we have this item.
Right. Yeah, because then that would instigate an open war.
It would.
Because
And
if we're taking it from the strongest, the strongest is going, hey, wait, give that back, and just slap us.
and they will call their allies and they would decimate our clan.
Okay, so they are significantly stronger than you are.
And they don't want to even respond to that.
Yeah,
Can
I
I-
know. Too bad.
Can I roll an insight on them to kind of see?
Yeah,
Because
sure, go ahead.
what I'm getting an idea is that this device is going to make them more powerful. Maybe in ways like, is it magical? I rolled a natural 2, so 6, I think.
Yeah,
I
so
think
you wouldn't
I'll
get
also
anything.
attempt the same insight.
Okay.
My gauge though is less if it's magical and more like it's, like a king's scepter kind of a thing. That,
Okay, so go ahead and roll your
What's the
insight.
symbol?
If I stole a king's scepter, that doesn't make me king, but I'd go, hey, look how weak he is. Maybe I should be in charge. And that's a
Well, better
nat
than-
16 for an 18.
Not better than a 2.
Yeah, that's what you do get out of this. That whether it's magical or not, because you can't gauge by what they've said, it does look as though that the person that owns this or is holding this is the one that is granted the authority. It is like being crowned king.
Okay.
So for someone to lose that symbol of power, it goes very poorly in their
Okay, so
their
it's
standing in the
it's not
city
so much
itself.
that they want to point out like, oh, hey, I have this thing. It's just they no longer have the thing, so obviously someone has
Right.
made a move against them.
How will it be known if we're not presenting it to you? How will it be known that they no longer have it?
Because they themselves will be unable to shield themselves, that they will all seem, and it kind of clicks on the word psychologically, weaker. That they can't help but project that they have
Psychological warfare.
misplaced all of their resources in the defense of this and the retainment of this, and it will affect them all on that mental level, and they will all broadcast it. As much as they try to hide it, they can't hide it from all of them, and it will take a very short period of time for it to be known citywide that they no longer have it in their control.
And how will you protect us so they can't read that we have it? If they can read our thoughts, well, how are you gonna keep it?
There'll be a protective curtain of sisters around you that will be masking your individual thoughts. That is something also that once you are out in the general population of our clan, you cannot make it known that you were involved in the retrieval of this item, because we have held it before. And it is up to this council that we do not broadcast, and we have to check our own mental space to make sure that we don't broadcast that we have it. If our clan knew from one person, the lowliest drone to the highest on the council, then they wouldn't be able to help but read that we actually have it. They would sense that among us psychically. So it must be kept a secret even within the clan.
Do you know how many clans they have allied with them? Do you have any idea?
We believe they have 8, but it could be as many as
And how many clans do you have allied with you?
we have 6.
With all your resources and your materials, have you found any way of being able to block this ability of reading and other individuals? Is there anything that we could wear to give ourselves our physical barrier to them being able to read us?
We have no knowledge of something of those lines, but we do know that if sisters are around you, and if they are enacting a particular ability, a particular spell, they can protect.
Okay.
Can you teach me that spell?
I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd like to try.
So
Yeah.
when must this be done?
Soon.
You must determine how to locate and retrieve the item. If we are ourselves involved directly, it will be too clear where the source of this has happened. So the planning of this, the execution of this is up to you, but the sooner the better. We have other plans in motion, of which you'll be appraised once you yourself will be involved in them. And that puts us on a short timetable.
Okay. All right. Turn to them. You guys have any more questions?
Not presently. I think if we do, we'd relay them piecemeal through
Good task.
or other sisters.
Do
rather than
you have anybody who works for your clan within their clan that could get us more information about where
spies,
this
yeah.
is?
No.
Ah,
Do we know how frequently their soldiers move?
We do have information about their movement patterns that will often see that there are teams, usually of 6, that are on patrol on the exterior of the building, moving in time patterns of 6 to 8 minutes. And they tend to hold to this with great regularity unless there is some disturbance that would draw them from their patrolling pattern.
Good scouts. All right, yeah, let's call it there and withdraw to our own spaces to formulate this.
Okay, so you're leaving that area, and again, you're taking through these the circles that go like a circle up, or 2 circles up to the adjoining tower, and then down into your own quarters. So you're back in your own place.
Yeah, so once we get to our quarters, I'm going to excuse myself to one of the inner rooms. And I have a plan. But I don't want you guys to know the plan just in case it goes really badly.
I like it.
Okay, so if we hear an exploding noise, we come and get you. How's this going to work?
Are you
all
taking
right,
Ant in there with you to kind of teach you spells? Or are you
Nope,
just in there
I'm
by yourself?
going in, but I'm going it alone.
Bravo 6, going dark.
So I'm going into a private room. I'm casting rope trick.
All right.
I'm climbing up the rope, pulling the rope up after me. So I'm now in a separate dimensional space.
Okay, yeah. So you've climbed up like 6 or 7 feet or so.
Yeah, not high.
Yeah.
My goal is I want to know, one, do guard ants come charging into the house because I've now dropped out of their awareness. So I want to know that, because if it works, this could be a place for the 3 of us to be able to plot, plan, and talk with nobody being able to listen
Snooping in our brains.
Then the other thing that I want to do while I'm up there is I want to try sending, and I want to try to send a message to Mr. Sage. Because if it works, then we have a way to communicate with the outside world. Like if we get close to the surface and they drag us back, we could have somebody ready on the outside to help.
All right.
So this is what I want to do.
Okay, so stage 1 is then you casting the spell and go up and see what happens. Okay, so you cast your spell.
I cast my spell.
No one immediately comes charging in.
Okay.
You guys, again, you're just hanging out in the common area,
Yeah, probably
making a sandwich or something.
Reading the architecture book.
Okay,
probably
that's
practicing
good. Yeah.
language
Studying
more.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so because that will take time to do. All right, that makes perfect sense. After a few minutes, there's no like,
and nothing's happened.
The guys outside aren't going like, "Hey, what's going on here? Why did
Right.
you burst in?" So it's just quiet and the same.
All right. So now I'm going to cast sending, and I'm going to try.
So you've climbed. So that was the casting of it.
Yeah.
So now you've climbed
So now
up.
I'm up. Now I'm in the space.
Okay, so once you're up in that space, you're aware of it, that you relax mentally in a way you realize you've been holding yourself tense, probably for whatever it's been, like a month with these beings or so. That
2 weeks with the beings, almost 2 months since we've been down.
underground, yeah. So good, thanks. 2 weeks that you've been holding yourself tense, probably trying to guard your thoughts, and it just doesn't matter. They still come out. It's just you can't help that. But you realize now that there is nothing or no one probing your mind.
Cool.
As you're up in that
Okay,
space.
so that's good. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to try is to do sending, to try to send a message to Mr. Sage. 25 words or less.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your tweet?
And you realize that with the nature of the spell, as this is an extra dimensional space, that you can cast dimension to dimension. And I think it was a 5%.
5%, yeah.
5%, yeah, that a chance of failure. So I guess you roll that. Do you want that 5% to be the top 5% that makes it fail, or the lower 5%, or choose any range of 5?
You could also just roll a d20, and if it's a natural 1, it's the failure.
Okay.
Sure.
It's the same 5% chance. There you go. Not a 1.
It's a 5.
Yeah.
Ooh, from my
I
angle,
was thinking 5, 5, 5.
from my angle, that looked like 1 for a second there, and I'm like, well, okay, well,
Never mind.
forget that one. Yeah.
Okay, so it works, right?
Yes, you were able to cast through this, out of this dimensional space, and you said you're sending it to whom again?
To Mr. Sage.
Oh, right.
Because he's connected with the whole network.
Right, he is.
Ready?
He's a very good influencer.
I am ready.
Trapped underground. Society of Intelligent Ants. No help needed yet. Contact Morskamen to inform Baron safe. Observe south of Kremlin capital if support required. 24 words.
Well, nice. That was very, very
And at the
concise.
Thanks.
Later. All right. So, and then so that did not fail. That does go through to him. So you're, I believe, aware that he gets that. And I think he can respond in kind to you
Yep.
mentally the same way. So he
Yep.
recognizes that it's you. So when you think about just the nature of your response, it's probably going to be a little more clipped because I'll make sure I go over the same 25 words. Received, wish you well, will rally nature forces south of that city. Estimate 2 months.
2 months. Oh man.
So give it a quick count. What did I get to?
Math
on.
numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay, I could have said more. Blah,
No,
blah,
that's
blah, blah, blah. All right.
Miss you much.
But yeah, the first contact to the outside world
Yes.
since all this has happened.
All right, so I'm going to come back out, but I'm going to leave the rope there.
All right.
I'm going to go get my friends.
So the moment you come out, you are very, very aware that Shatask is looking for you specifically. It's almost like it's not a desperation, but that when you get back out of that space again, it's more like a
There
like,
she is.
like there you are right there. And you're asked directly, Zelenadar, where were you?
Meditating.
That is interesting. And says no more about it.
So I think I can move the rope. I think I can move the rope so it's now leaning against a wall because I have it there for an hour. I have the
Right.
spell
Well,
last for an hour.
The individual rooms are not that big. So if you
Yeah,
put
but
up the
I just
empty
don't want
rooms,
it hanging in the center of the
sure,
room.
you could definitely, put it against something over on the wall,
Right, so
some
it's not
little
noticeable.
projection and
Yeah.
piece of the chitin or something.
And then I'd like to wait like 35, 40 minutes, get the two of them,
Okay.
and bring them up there too.
Okay, so Zelen comes out into the room. There was no booms. And what do you say to them?
So the time has passed.
Yes.
I have something to show you.
Okay.
So then I'm going to show them the rope, climb up myself, peek my head back down, pop my head back out, and signal for them to follow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. In due course.
Me and my bug armor.
All right. So you guys are up there?
Yep.
Shatask, I don't want to be in here long. Shatask loses us when we're in here. So we can plan in here privately with no one reading our thoughts. I'm sure you guys can feel the difference in your brain.
And you
Yes.
could when you first walked into
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's like
I mean, if-
Let's use this sparingly.
mental
And if
relief.
nothing else, we can tell them if whenever they lose our darkness, or lose our thoughts and they go dark, we can tell them this is for their own safety for not being able to know what our plan is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. Like
I sent
Though,
a message.
risk
I'm
of
not sure we
leaks.
want to tell them
That we can
openly
do
that
it.
we can do
Well,
this.
that
I
we're
told her when
meditating?
she asked where I was, I told her I was meditating.
Yeah.
I contacted Mr. Sage, told him to contact your Baron to let them know you're safe. They're going to gather forces.
My barony.
You are the
I am
Baron?
Yeah.
Sorry, your barony. They're going to gather forces south of the city in about 2 months to be ready to support us if needed.
Okay.
Let's get out of here.
What'd you tell them to say about Brian?
Nothing. Let's
great.
get out of here.
But I'm in charge there.
He's like all right, I'm effectively not a barony, but I'm in charge
so
of
we get
Brian.
back out.
So
You're
when you come back out
an
again,
appointed mayor.
Shatask is in your minds almost immediately again, and you hear her saying, meditating, almost as though it was a statement and a question at the same time, and said, I had to inquire and have found out from what knowledge has been passed down that Elised would also meditate from time to time. So this fits the pattern of demons from hell.
I love their
I'm not
name
going to
for
respond
us.
to that. I'm just going to,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Um,
She did it. But I am going to dismiss the spell.
Rolled a 10 on insight to just kind of gauge how much Chitask believes meditating. Just kind of the way that was said.
Was that your total? Was that the 10?
Yes.
Or is that,
Because I've got a +2.
Yeah, you really gain nothing out of it.
But it seems like
Mm.
Elised did the same, or Elised did the same kind of thing. So that's good. That supports us.
It's good to know that we're not doing unnecessary things. That there's not new. They're not confused by what's happening. Well, they might be
It
confused.
gives
It's just
us a
not.
place though that we can escape
unprecedented.
to that they can't mentally find us. I mean, I'm not saying any of this.
Well, just because
Right,
they
sure.
don't have scouts and spies in other areas does not mean that there might not be scouts and spies here.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, so then you guys are in a position to start planning what you
Yeah.
think you
Yeah.
want to do or how to do it. And you can imagine it would be pretty, an interior location. They're pretty sure
Right.
of that. But
yeah. So the
beyond
first
that-
thing is to try to get a better, I would think, Forrest, you agree? Try to get a better sense of where this thing is.
Yeah.
Well, we should be able to get a pretty good idea because they've had scouts who've looked at their guard patterns. We should know roughly almost exactly where we need to go. It's just a matter of getting eyes on it ourselves to go kind of know once we're there where we need to go.
How often do you post guards on the outside of a building? Like on the literal outside of the building?
I would say, I mean, thinking back to when we did
on the surface of a wall.
yeah, when we did the enemy eyes things, there were guards that were patrolling the outside of the castle.
Okay, no, not the vicinity, like a perimeter, like the literal wall of a building. Like if you were guarding a vault that was up in, a skyscraper, would you have your guards on the inside by the vault or on the exterior wall of the skyscraper?
I'd say both.
Yeah, I'd say both too. So
Not,
is that what
not
we're looking
outside
for?
the skyscraper on that level, maybe at the bottom of the thing, or at least stationed throughout
Well,
the
but
building.
these guys, they could have things on the outside because
this
they
is
can
true.
climb
yeah.
the wall.
They can stand on the wall.
So is that what you think we're looking for? Something?
No, I was saying exactly the opposite.
Okay.
That we need to be looking at the interior, that we know their patrol rates. We need to know what's going on inside the building because we need to get into the building to take the thing.
Got it. Okay. So, all right. So we need
Can you make like a scrying sensor and move it around?
my arcane eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing we did at that Graffitionite temple.
Oh, yeah. Now it's a 30-foot range.
I think that's when it appears.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought the range was vastly further.
It
than that.
is. Yeah. As an action, I can move the eye up to 30 feet in any direction.
Okay.
We're talking about the same thing that we just used at the Murmuring Sea when she was looking forward, or did we end up using it?
Yeah,
then?
we did use it there
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I don't know. I just work here.
All right. Okay. So is that?
It seems.
I think that's the first. I don't think we can make a plan until we have a better idea where this thing
Yeah,
is.
we
Agreed.
have to go put eyes on it.
and we definitely need a plan this time.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So is the first step to get within 30 feet so I can create the arcane eye and
Well,
then
You don't have to
it-
get within 30 feet.
The eye appears within 30 feet of you.
And then you can move it.
And
You
then
just
I can move it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the range I think is
Unlimited.
unlimited. Yeah, it was like
Yeah, barring planar
Oh
barriers.
yeah, and it's
You could do that.
invisible too.
Yeah.
So the only way would be if they're detecting magic.
You could do
They
that
can
right now
find
and
it if
just
it's
pilot
detecting
it down the
right.
Well, it just how long does the spell last?
An hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
nice.
think the easiest thing would be find an open window and just go beep out
Yeah.
the window.
All right.
I mean, let's ask Shatask, like, how far of a journey is it to the other?
Yeah. Let's go to the place and just check it out visually.
So
Try and find a
I say,
perch
yeah,
nearby.
in response to
If
your
we-
your query, Jacob, even like because she's outside your room, she's not where you guys are. She's somewhere on the outside of this little suite,
Creepy.
but says
They're giant bugs.
I know.
they have like bug legs sticking out of their mouth with like a thing
Yeah.
on. Yeah, they are pretty creepy looking. But anyway, that exit your quarters, and we will show you. We will point it out. to you.
Insight, does that sound threatening? 14.
Everything they say sounds threatening. But no, this one in particular does not sound.
I'm
Are you
confident.
going to
It
wear your
sounds-
clicky helmet?
It sounds-
Absolutely.
it sounds informational.
All right, get your clicky helmet on.
No.
Let's go.
So speaking of the clicky helmet, I
Yeah.
was thinking after the last episode where that whole attempting to proposition another one of the ants goes.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out that it's hilarious that the oldest profession has like transcends like any sort of a genus or species like barrier. Like everyone has that particular profession. So the fact that they were even like thinking that
Well,
my intent was that.
It's not even like a sentient thing. That if you introduce the concept of money to like monkeys, like capuchin monkeys, like you have like a vending machine for food and like a coin to operate it, they will immediately invent prostitution.
Wow.
So
I've not spent enough time with monkeys in
Yeah,
order
no,
to figure that
it's-
one out.
it's not even like
It's like in the
once
ru-
you cross
it's
an
in the
intelligence
rule
score of
book?
6, it's like if you have an intelligence score and are capable of taking action, what you lack is a concept of money, not a concept of
You got
prostitution.
page 13 of the DMG. It's right there. All right, yeah.
All right.
It's actually 51.
And from their perspective, it could have been something also like, when you're dead, I want your chitin to be turned into sandwiches so I can eat that stuff.
I wonder.
You have an odd concept of.
I wonder if there's like a cafe or are there things like that out here where we could be sitting somewhere closer to this clan?
There are definitely places where you could buy stuff that could either be like turned into food, recycled into food, or actually it's just food. But I wouldn't call it a cafe.
Okay.
That's just not how they operate.
that
No one's sitting
implies
there
a degree of cleanliness.
having a cappuccino and like smoking a cigarette.
I'm thinking
and
the flashing neon sign like the Dunkin' Donuts, but the
Dunkin' Druids.
When-
Dunkin'
when you
Dunkin'
go-
Donuts.
Druid circle.
When the three of you exit your exit your quarters.
Oh, and while we're moving around through the compound,
Yeah.
I'd want to move through whatever their armory is and pick up like an Inurriak style shield. So that now way I'm not carrying around my metal shield everywhere.
So you leave
yeah,
the
good
shield,
idea.
your own metal shield back in your
Yeah.
quarters? Okay.
That I'd have stashed that with the splint armor in Lemon's Secret Zest.
All right. So, yes, you go through a number of circles, and instead of taking you down to the outside first, Shatask takes you up. And so when you go up by 2 circles higher, so you're in the narrow part of the cone to this building, she leads you to, well, first past an armory where you pick up a shield of your choice. They're all a little different. There's the way the patterns overlap in the natural material.
Yeah, I find one that's a reasonable approximate for what I'm used to.
Yeah, and you could easily find that. So you're now armed with shield.
Good.
That Jacob, you're led to a particular window, and when she directs you through it, you're looking at a complex of towers that would be like 2 complexes of towers away in this massive cave. Each of these kind of centered series of cones that are overlapping each other. The taller ones tend toward the middle. They build out from each other. Each one seems to denote its own clan mansion. And so from where you are, there's 2 clan mansions, and then there's the one that she points out and says, that is Gagidrog, or Gagin Drog.
Is that the little drawing you have right here? Like it's a topographical map?
In essence, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been wondering this whole time. It's a cool looking little like drawing. I've been wondering what that is.
That is.
Check
Looks
out the website to see it for yourself.
It looks like 15 Venn diagrams like all on top of each other, but topographical map of cones makes a lot of sense.
So as you're looking at that, Jacob, go ahead and use roll a survival skill that would be not exactly your nature sense, but as you're like mapping the area in your head.
16.
That
Am I proficient in that stonework thing yet?
I wouldn't think that fast, no. But
I spent a whole 20 minutes.
That as you're looking out there, you're noticing different things about that area, and it looks like where the ceiling to this place just vaults to incredible heights. That you do see there is what's tantamount to a shelf that is running as a lower portion of the ceiling, like a kind of like a drop ceiling in one area, and that eclipses a very, very small portion of Gagindrog's mansion complex. But you do see the ceiling gets lower to it. Now, you're still some distance away from it. It would be like you could drop from a ledge of rock onto this thing. It'd be more like you fall to your death getting to it.
You underestimate my hit points.
That could be, yeah.
Was it maxed out at 10? 10 d6?
No, 20 d6.
20 d6.
Okay, so that you're just noticing that where you are right now, that if you were to go outside
23 more hit points and I could survive.
That's a lot.
and
a lot
look
of damage.
straight up, Krianach Rogan is nowhere near that underhang. It is completely developed and comprised underneath the main ceiling. So it would be an incredible drop to get to there. But that ledge does exist. You can't help but take that in as you're looking at how things
So the
are
ledge
set.
kind of provides some shelter, some strategic barrier for people coming over the top to this. Is that what it seems like?
Are you posing that to Shatask in some way? Or
No, I would pose it to Boris. Like, look at the ledge. Do you think that they're a more important clan because of the strategic advantage of having been able to build there?
you can go ahead and roll that as your siegecraft if you want.
Me?
Can do. You don't have siegecraft.
I know. I was like,
We're getting Siegecraft too? Right on.
Dang it. 17.
You would say that it doesn't offer anything when it comes to like a better spot or defense.
Even taking into consideration their capacity to climb.
Well, climbing, they probably be able to get to it. Now, if they're able to bridge the way that ants do, it could actually form an area where you'd have an easier retreat. Like if they can actually get drones to line up and form something that they could latch.
It's a more direct evacuation.
Right. It would serve in that capacity. Again, do you ask anything of Shatask of this, or are you just mulling it over between the three of you?
well, she's going to hear us because she can read our thoughts. So,
But that doesn't mean she'll respond necessarily.
yeah, I don't know why I would. I don't know what I'd ask Shatask about this. So what I'm envisioning is their compound is built under this ledge.
But
where-
partially, it's just,
partially. Yeah, but the compound we're in is not built under this ledge.
Right.
I mean, you find it as a drop ceiling. Do we feel like we could actually get like into that, like above in that area? Would
It's
that
not
be...
a drop ceiling. It's the top of a cavern. It's just
Yeah.
the ceiling's low.
I
on
know.
the
What I'm
side.
thinking is
lower
like,
there.
do we think there's tunnels or anything on the other side of that we might be able to go through, and then with some stone shape or something like that, bore through and be in an area that we wouldn't typically be
That's
able
an
to get
interesting
to?
idea. Shatas, do you know what's on top of that ledge?
And and again the ledge, the underhang, it is an area that is devoid of resource. It was picked clean of resource. The tunnels that are there have been abandoned long since, because there is no more resource to acquire.
That sounds perfect.
But it had been a place of where the clan lived.
No clan ever lived there, to my knowledge. But the clan that is and gives a point to it, that is Gagindrag. They picked clean the resources from that area, and it is part of, but not completely, their rise to power.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
It might just
Yeah,
be...
it's their old mines essentially.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But you wonder if, considering what they consider resource, you wonder if any of it could have recovered in that time.
I mean, from where we're standing, if we're looking at that ledge, do we feel like there could be a strategic advantage of going through there, trying to go through the rock? Would it drop us where we need to be, or
My
is it
thought
still
would
kind
be
of too far away from the central
Spider
tower?
climb.
It looks as though that if you like put a rope out of a hole straight down, you would probably catch one of those, like the towers in the back right area of their complex. That it would be overhanging that directly. So you just need a rope that's long enough. It could be like a couple 100 feet or so to get down
Or a slow fall, or
to something, right?
Right.
But
Featherfall.
but again,
I know you can teleport through trees. Is there anything in the wizard booklet for teleportation stuff?
ooh, okay. I can also teleport through air by falling and just...
Well, that's not teleporting. That's falling.
There's Dimension Door.
Well, that's
Okay.
definitely teleporting.
Yeah. What's the range on that?
You can teleport yourself. Oh, it is in fact teleporting. You can teleport yourself from your current location to any other spot within range. It can be a place you can see.
What's the range?
We could do
500
that.
feet.
We might, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess you're saying all these things. I guess you're talking. and
Can
you're,
can you take all of us with it?
I think it was up to 5 willing creatures, wouldn't it?
You can bring along objects as long as their weight doesn't exceed what you can carry.
Okay.
Oh,
we're
darn.
not objects. Does it say anything about creatures?
You can bring one willing creature of your size or smaller who's carrying gear up to its carrying capacity. Creature must be within 5 feet of you when I cast.
But you can cast Featherfall as well, too. So one person can drop and the other 2 people could go down. That would save us a single spell slot.
well, and to put this information there too, is you're eyeballing this. That nearest tower to that underhang is easy within. You said 500 feet.
500 feet.
Within 500 feet, and even on the angle, like if you were like just to pick a spot along where that lower ceiling is, you would think the next 2 conical towers that are part of the actual structure of the city of that clan home would also be in the range of that. Getting outside of that, the lower towers, the further towers away, but you could easily get to probably about a third or so of this complex, depending upon where you're positioned. If Jacob can find a tunnel that would be in that area.
Task. Are we surrounded by the sisters to guard our thoughts?
No,
Can you call them?
they are called.
What kind of abilities do you guys have for improving mobility? Can you cast spells to allow flight or anything like that?
Before we get into that, why not just use spider climb? Use an ability we have that we'd get them to develop some kind of like a camouflage.
But also thinking again to where if we can get them to buff us with some stuff, it would save us spell slots in the long run. If they have those resources available, because if we get to the point where they said that they'll no longer be able to help us, once we're past that point,
Right, but they were saying they can't help us directly. I'm not sure how literal they're being with that. So I'm trying to keep it to our resources.
but also they're helping us directly already when it comes to like being the barrier around us to prevent them from reading our thoughts.
That gives us a base of operation. That doesn't, they're not handing us like, here's all the things you need to tunnel up under their compound.
And keep in mind too that what they were saying in the council was, as few people as possible, as few Inurriak as possible in their clan can know about this. Otherwise, Cycly starts broadcasting,
Yeah.
we got the stuff, and it's tough for them to hold that back. So, one thing to say, your job is to keep them from being psychically fried
Yeah.
without knowing anything about what they're doing.
All right. So are they here that we can that they're blocking our thoughts, the surrounding sisters?
No one has shown up yet, so you'd think
Okay.
probably not.
All right.
So within a handful of minutes, while you're still looking there, you're talking about, well, how close is that? Where's that underhand goes? Or there's a tunnel over there. That 6 sisters join all of you in this.
I would
hallway.
actually try to direct that conversation to be more historical. Like,
Okay.
oh, that's interesting. What kind of resources did they take out of there? Do we know? Because I don't want anybody picking up even the thought that we're looking
Okay.
at it as strategic. Okay, but now the 6 sisters are here.
Yes.
Okay, so now that they're here, I'm going to deploy the eye. Unless anybody has anything else.
No.
No.
All right. So I'm going to deploy the eye. I would think to start.
Oh wow.
I would think to start at the centermost tower. That's, to me, if this is that important, makes sense to me that they would have it in the center of their compound. So I'm going to send the eye there to search there first.
Okay, so that is the very central. It's the tallest tower that's in that portion of the complex, and there are definitely openings that are up high.
Yep.
And you probably would have seen this at some point. We can retro play this. That at different points when you guys have had downtime, you're looking out a window somewhere, or when you were down on the main street, you can see that these Inurriak can open up a window or close up a window pretty quickly. That if there was a spot that if they needed to completely seal one of these towers, they could do it. But if they also wanted to, for who knows, ventilation or some other purpose, they could open up a section of wall and just make it a big opening right there.
Flooding all their troops out.
Right. So I would think that both Jacob and Boris would have noticed that at some point. From like a strategic point of view, Jacob often looking for a position, like to have position to shoot arrows from. Think, gosh, if I was in that tower, where would I be right now? And oh, look, that guy just made another window or just closed it up. So you guys know this kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
So as you are looking across that way, Zelen, you can see that there are windows or like doors that are made into the upper tiers of the tallest tower, and it just takes a couple of minutes for you get your eye
choose
directed
one.
there.
Yep.
And at what point do you see through it and not like your own sight? I forget how that goes.
I mentally receive visual information from the eye.
Okay, and that doesn't change like where you are, what you're seeing.
It doesn't indicate that it does.
It's just like a third eye.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
cool.
literally an additional eye that just is far away.
Nice. So yes, you go into that tunnel or into that window, and you are again. It seems very similar constructed to where you are right now. That it is a circle that runs the span of the building. There are openings that are on the right and the left. There's drones moving through it, and then like almost your first test, you can tell by the ribbons that are on this next Inurriak that it is a sister, to that clan. It's a spellcaster. And as like you approach that and then like go right by it in this hallway, it doesn't turn toward you. It
Okay, that's
doesn't
good.
notice you or anything
That's
else. Because
good.
we'd have to have like detect magic like up and running at that moment. Yeah.
Or some capacity to see invisible things.
Yeah.
So, all the information that I'm getting, I'm going to relay to Jacob and Boris, so that they can also help me direct if there's something that they want to see closer. One of the things that I'm looking for is, does this look finer? Are the walls finished more nicer than the most common walls? Are there skulls and artifacts implanted? Is there anything about this?
Are we seeing, this is a trophy hall
Exactly.
as opposed to this is a council chamber? Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything about this that indicates it's anything other than a living chamber or just a hallway?
The other thing I wanted to be thinking about, like as a siegecraft check, assessing the other towers of the Gagindrog compound to see, if not this central tower, which other ones are promising, so that way we have like some next ones to target rather than just like going around them clockwise and taking ages to do this.
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead and make that roll. And any questions you might have when it comes to like logistics for Shatask as she's standing right there?
Nothing immediately coming to mind. I'm just kind of waiting for any information come from Zelen to be kind of abnormal to what we're used to seeing.
Okay. So as you're describing it, initially you're saying, well, the halls and the shapes of them seem exactly like we're right here. And it looks as though that, I'm about to go down through an opening to the next level, then circle down. There's drones moving everywhere. That no matter what you're saying, there is almost a chatter that's coming from Shatask, as though Shatask is relaying it almost word for word immediately to someone else or some others. And you're getting the impression that no one in this clan has seen the inside of this tower. So every bit of intel you're getting, they're filing it away.
Yeah, they're putting into their own records.
Yeah,
Do we want that happening
I
at
know.
the
I'm
moment?
thinking that same thing.
And the very first time that Chatask is intrusive is how much distance from that window was it to the opening that goes to the next level down? And you'd have to say, well, it was like about 20 feet around the corner.
I don't know. Do you answer her
or,
question?
or what are you saying? Because
Yeah, I can't measure.
Well, we can't have those plans yet. That becomes a liability for keeping this operation
way too
secret.
in depth at the moment. Yeah.
so, and Chatask seems to accept that, but in a very crap way that that being intrusive and asking questions is not helping
Stupid
the
demon
process.
things being perceptive of our culture.
When you go down to the very next level, there is light that is emanating up through the central shaft in this, and you believe that it's not going to be a series of floors right across the entire footprint that are smaller and smaller as the cone goes up. But this one has an open gallery, and that is very, very much like the council chamber that is right here. So you believe you're in the upper reaches of that probably right down below where you are, there's going to be probably their highest level sisters, their highest level spellcasters sitting in council. And you could either go right over the edge and go straight down to look into that, or still follow the gallery down and around the same way you do that when you approach this council chamber when you're going down.
Do we know?
But we said first.
Yeah.
But Boris, you made a roll a moment ago. What did you roll on that?
25 on that siegecraft.
That it would make sense from what you've gleaned about their own culture that they probably wouldn't have something like this in their own council chamber. You would think that it would probably have its own particular hall of reverence, like how the
one of these towers.
The English royal family doesn't keep their those jewels that are the family jewels in Buckingham Palace. They're actually housed in the Tower of London.
Yeah, so that there's one of these towers that is museum-esque, and it's there.
Right, or it's the display of resource.
I was trying to make an assessment to see which one of those I was thinking, not if that concept matched.
Okay.
Do I have a guess about which one it could be?
Your best guess that it would be one of the secondary towers, not as big as the council chamber tower, but one that is approaching that size. And that would mean that it's either one that's way over on the left, the one that's very up front, or there's two off to the right.
Okay, so I've got 4 potential targets.
4 potential targets.
I think I'm in a place let me think.
Are you being careful about your words specifically? So I want to think to myself, what the ants that are the sisters that are surrounding us that are trying to block all the different thoughts from getting out.
Right.
What's going through their minds? What are they doing in order to block it? What is their repeating thought, or what is their conversation that's happening that's blocking that from going on? And do I think that if I can do something to distract Chatask from constantly watching Zelen and being aware of what's going on with her, would it be a safer thing for us? If I'm distracting her, having a conversation, asking her questions constantly, that way she's not being bombarded with Zelen stuff and even just accidentally thinking about what's going there versus one of them then getting read and then that going through the entire ant colony that there's
roll
an
it as an
intruder.
insight for the first portion of
I'm
that.
good at those. How's a 9? No, wait, insight. 11.
Not that good. When it comes to what is it doing, they're filtering out, all that you're aware of is that the same way when you've been blocked out of a conversation, when Chatask or one of the council members are talking and don't want you guys to hear, it's almost like that's happening, but it's being projected outward instead of inward.
Yeah,
But
I was
the function of
anticipating-
which is an unknown.
And have we learned, can they read multiple at a time, or do they have to focus on one at a time?
They have not gone into that, but it would probably make sense that they're reading, they could at least read the three of you at the same time. It seems pretty, fluid as ideas are coming forward.
I think I'll just ask Chatask outright, do you not think that it would be safer, at least for the integrity of our mission, to not contaminate yourselves with unnecessary knowledge, at least until we return back to our base?
Maintaining sanctity of the mission is always paramount. What are you suggesting, Jacob Treadstone?
If your knowledge of what Zelen is getting right now is passed down to any of the sisters here, and anyone local to this area is now overhearing this conversation as it's happening, it poses an immediate threat to our reconnaissance at the moment.
So roll another insight, and this is a slightly different situation.
Ooh, how about an 18?
So as you are relating that to Shatask, Shatask says to you, these sisters here are blocked off from what I'm relating to the council. But even with that, you note that one of those 6 that are around you has, like, you would say it is a moment of surprise, as though maybe it wasn't blocked out completely, or there's a different motivation among one of those 6.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I look over at...
Try to mark which one that is,
Yeah,
so we could recognize that.
Do you like, kind of nod your head at it,
yeah, so I start...
tap your nose and point to the hammer?
I do start... I think to myself, knowing that I'm immediately in this... I'm assuming the conversation I'm having with Shatask has been mental at this moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mentally would go and there's like, did you notice like the surprise of the drone like over my right shoulder or whatever it
Or
is?
the sister.
And as the sister, and as I'm looking at that sister too, like making it extremely obvious and uncomfortable at this moment.
Shatask relates to you. No, I did not. And literally rotates its body to look at that particular one.
I cast Zone of Truth.
Okay, go ahead and read it.
See, Zone of Truth, you create a
Gosh, things are getting weird kind of dicey right
I knock an arrow.
right.
You create a magical zone that guards against deception in a 15-foot radius sphere centered on a point of your choice within range.
Okay.
Until the spell ends, a creature that enters the spell's area for the first time or starts its turn there must make a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, a creature can't speak a deliberate lie while in this radius. You know whether each creature succeeds or fails on its saving throw. An affected creature is aware of the spell and thus can avoid answering questions to which it would normally respond with a lie. Such a creature can be evasive in its answers as long as it remains within the boundaries of truth.
Do you have hold monster or anything like that prepared in case this thing tries to run? I know it's another concentration spell. We'd lose the eye, but just to
could
keep this
recast the
spy
eye.
from getting out.
I've got smack with hammer until I can
Oh,
say,
yeah.
I do some damage and knock it unconscious.
I don't.
Yeah.
prepared.
Let me see. I'll look while you guys
You said
talk.
Okay.
charisma saving throw?
in case it tries to
yes.
run.
Right.
All right.
You're looking at a DC 60.
Mentally, Shatask communicating to one.
Kind of in the moment of spell casting, if
Yeah.
I can alert the others, because I would willingly choose to fail the saving throw because I have no intention of lying, and then kind of signal in the same aspect that that's the kind of the socially accepted thing to do right now, so that if it resists that, if it tries to attempt the save, then we can go, bad guy.
So that you're actually like saying to Zelen and to Jacob, like, don't resist.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So
you're kind of communicating as I'm casting.
don't resist it. And Boris is casting. So Shatask is now split between that other adept that is right there, that other Inurriak spellcaster, and you, because it's obviously been tasked with gathering as much information as it possibly can about how you guys do your thing,
Right.
because it's different than how they do. Although,
I've got-
sometimes it's the same. Yeah. With you.
I've got simultaneously the most overlap and the most difference.
Right. And a couple things happen at once. So Shatask is taking that in, but as you guys, so you have to make a saving throw.
Yeah, everybody in the area does.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we just choose to
Yeah,
fail
we
it. Yeah,
Don't.
right. And then
natural one. Just didn't actually stop rolling, but we're going to save it.
and I guess you'd say that like Shatask failed at saving throw.
They can choose to fail it.
But-
That's what he was saying. Is like
Yeah.
if they decide to even try to resist it, then that's our immediate.
That's a cue to us that
yeah.
Yeah.
hit with stick.
But it's Shatask is talking to that other adept specifically and said, "Have you been listening in?" And it obviously cannot speak a lie at this point. It failed its saving throw and says yes. And all of them turn on that one and they are attacking.
Nice. I'll join in.
Rolling its. If you're going to be in the combat, rolling
I
it.
kind of want to be.
So-
Aw.
Zelen, I noticed you did not roll.
No, I need to keep my eye. I think they can take care of
So
this
you're
one.
continuing to go. So
Yeah.
One note before this situation develops. Are you taking your eye over the edge of the gallery to go straight down, or are you going to follow the circles around, or are
Over
you going
the
to do
edge of the
something
gallery.
else? Okay, got it. All right. So greater than 20. What do you guys got?
14.
14,
Okay.
Your dex beats the hell out of mine.
probably.
So Jacob, what are you going to do?
Oh, I'm just firing an arrow right dead center mass of this thing. Assuming everyone else looked combative.
Well, I'm pulling hammer.
Yeah.
They're pulling magic, so I think
Yeah.
you're good, bud.
All right. First
They'll be
one's
going right after you guys.
bonus action, casting Hunter's Mark.
Okay, you got it.
26 to hit on the first one,
Yeah, the poor thing.
and then a 16 to hit on the second one.
Yes, both hit.
All right. So the first one is going to be doing just this
One hit exactly.
plus 13 points of damage, and then the second one
Mm.
will be doing. Oh, max on both 8s.
Oh,
Whoa.
wow.
16 plus another 8, 24 points of damage.
So thud. Is it just dead?
And what was the other damage? The first damage again?
16, I believe. 13. I don't know how many hit points they have, but
Yeah,
I could have done a little bit more
It
damage.
looks really, really, really hurt. Boris.
Hit with hammer.
Okay.
God says bonk.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a 27 for the first attack, and another 27 for the second attack.
They both are definite hits.
I'm not going to bother smiting.
Yeah,
I've already spent too many
Yeah,
spell slots on
yeah.
this exchange.
I think that Jacob smited it already.
Oh, nice.
First attack is max for 17, magic bludgeoning.
Ow.
Another max. Oh, just one off max.
So 17 and 16.
Gee,
Unless it's a fiend or undead.
so it was
Tell me it's a fiend or undead.
33 points. I'd love to tell you that, but it is not. It's an aberration. It is crushed between those arrows hitting it. It probably would've-
Smack!
like
It
that.
probably
and-
happened in such a way where, like, both my arrows are going by right as your hammer's going, and you just like smack the back of the hammer, just send them through the hammer.
Yeah, like, you went ding, ding to both arrows. That actually, you think it died with the first hammer strike, but you couldn't help but just with the
just the
katas you're
momentum, I
doing,
just- yeah.
boosh, the second one, and it is truly just shattered. That all of the other Inurriak that are right there are in essence powering down what they were about to do, which was their Eldritch Blast.
I think ours was a little bit quieter than whatever they were about to do too.
Meh.
But that was very, very fast, and without any emotional pause, the other 5 go right back into being in shielding mode, and Shatask again addresses Jacob and says,
Apologies, I hope we didn't overstep.
no, that was necessary. There is a faction. And then it goes to, what do you suggest to make sure that we are not in any way tainting the mission?
We knew that there's no spies.
Again, doesn't even care this thing's
Yeah.
dead, that there was like some kind of a traitor, spy, deviant in their midst, whatever it was.
Yeah, we know we have no spies in their faction in any of these other areas, or at least none that we've been directly told about. But this might be something that we do internally, is trying to weed out any additional ones like this that might exist in. And help me remember the name of the faction.
We are with Clan Kreen Otrogan.
Yes,
We are currently spying on Gagin Drog.
and I bet I bet Jacob would know the names, and so he would have said those names. But yeah,
Okay.
the helping our faction and making sure that we have no even like not even specifically the one that we're spying on right now, any of the up to 10 that they're allied with, just kind of weeding those out to make
And
sure.
by the sound of it, there's kind of an underbelly that doesn't hold to the religion of
Yeah.
efficiency.
Uh-huh.
And
So-
that is what comes through to you right now, Jacob, is that Shatask points to this crumpled dead thing on the floor and says, "Do you suggest this was a spy?" And before it even waits for an answer, mental otherwise, said, "This was no spy. There are no spies. This was a disease."
Huh.
Ah, interesting.
does that carry a different weight? Like they use that word
Yeah.
differently?
Yeah. Because-
Insight, I guess.
Because
is,
a disease
yeah,
could
sure.
ruin resource.
20 unnatural.
Yes, that being the case exactly, and that would be their worst disease, whether it was an actual, biological something or a mental one. If it wastes resource or doesn't believe in like the divinity of efficiency, then
How do you detect this disease?
difficultly.
For now it seems
It's like a
And-
click coincidental.
yeah. I kind of look around like if you have any suggestions for how we could potentially weed it out, but it seems like, judging by the willingness of your remaining sisters, there shouldn't be any more in this outfit. We should continue with our reconnaissance at the moment and just know that we have a bit more work to do when we return back to this.
Yeah.
We agree
I've-
with you, Jacob Treadstone.
I've got the zone of truth for 10 minutes. So
All right.
Yeah,
Does
so
anyone
that's
else have anything to say?
Yeah, no,
Still
it's-
running. No,
like
in the-
we can cycle through a goodly number of drone soldiers and sisters just,
anything moving
just
through.
to see.
There's
yeah.
actually nothing else moving through this hallway.
Yeah,
you
but
believe that
I
they
was
were
suggesting that we
stunted
could-
around as you're leaving. Yeah, Got it.
Or our current outfit, just asking them while we're all here is just kind of
Well,
one by one?
no, that they didn't try to hide themselves mentally is indicator enough, at least for me, that they're fine for now. What I was saying is that we could loop some that aren't part of this current outfit and just see who doesn't feel like sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly could.
Well, and honestly, probably that's getting relayed to the council, and they might go, "Hey, you feel like interrogating some people?"
Yeah, it could be expanding your duties a little bit.
We look at the last person we interrogated that's currently creamed on the floor. It's like, yeah, we could totally do that.
Within a minute, Isk is there.
Oh, nice.
And it must have been that it was not determined necessary within clan walls that there was a reason to have a guard on Shatask, protecting Shatask. But apparently that's changed. And so at least one is there. And within a moment, he moves forward and begins inscribing on the the plate that's on your tabard.
Oh, nice.
And then turns and does the same scrying or scripting rather on Boris's. And that is between the actions of the two of you that you actually were able to help remove a
weed out
segment
a
of this
cultist of
disease.
decadence.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
I turn to Shatask and I say, it may seem like a waste of resource, but I don't know if you already have this intention in mind, but maybe not utilizing the body of this dead one in case this disease actually has some sort of a biological
component.
aspect to it, if that is the case.
And that is met with surprise. And you've rarely gotten actual surprise from these things. And that's related immediately. And it comes back to all of you. It's like a ripple of surprise. Like the whole council went like, damn.
That's a thing.
That's a thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could have like great weight to it too.
We
Yeah,
have
so.
mad ant disease.
Yeah, I was about to reference mad cows.
No, and then at some point at this, I guess like somebody takes Zelen by the arm and you're now, or are you just like finally just
No, I'm
senses?
just
Yeah,
So
Zelen has
you
her complete
all
sense.
are then, I think, moving down toward the periphery. You wanted to get closer to it, I thought.
No.
No.
That,
We-
okay,
no,
we
we're
don't
fine.
need
No, I think
Okay,
she's just
great.
moving the eye still.
Okay, so with all of that happening, you're aware that something initiated a combat, Zelen, and you're aware that something died.
Yeah.
Well,
and
she,
then
she
I think
has,
she-
she
yeah,
has
she-
No,
her
I have-
usual
I have my
senses.
full
She's completely aware of
senses.
what happened.
yeah, I guess I
I
keep
just
wanting to
didn't
go
feel
like
like
tunnel one to
participating.
the other.
Yeah.
So in all of that, you determined that you are actually in their main council building,
Okay.
their main council area. It's a matter of, do you want to go any closer to where they are,
Do you
or
remember?
pull away from that?
Do you remember the hall at the Barony Hall at Conkeldley? That's where I am. I think I need to be in a place more like Azongo's Tower.
The Razia Tower.
Oh, yeah. Azongo's Tower is the one out in the woods.
So I think I think I
different
need
location, yeah.
think I need to be in
Yeah,
a different place. Are there any? Do you see a different
Wasn't
place?
the Razia Tower south and a little east of the palace?
Yes, it was. I'm gonna try that direction.
And so with that, you start moving in that easterly direction. You're finding an adjoining ring, like I said, a hyperbole
just
that overlapping.
Popping out a window and popping in a different
And
window.
whichever one to do. You're back out of that tower and down to
Got the
another
advantage
one.
Yeah,
of flight. Why not
exactly.
use
Yeah,
it?
that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, so you
Whatever's
move,
most efficient.
right. So you move out of that one again. You're outside, looking down to the whole thing, and there are a couple of large towers. And you're going to the one, I guess, more like southerly
Southeasterly,
from that
yeah.
side. And as you get to that one, it is a smaller tower, fewer rings. You're pretty sure, 4, maybe 5. And you enter in through a window. And as soon as you get into the window, you see that there are drones moving about in this one. And then after just a moment of going around a tower, you can again see that there's a gallery area as though you're in another council chamber building. But there isn't that same light coming up through that central shaft.
Okay. It's a darker Baron's Hall.
Does he still have his statuary?
I'll look around.
So as you are, I guess, then going over the top and over the banister, the same
Yeah,
we did in the
yeah.
other the tower, as over the top, you can see that there are 3 Inurriak that are down there. They seem to be standard size. They are like ribboned. They are, in essence, they're robed kind. So you mark them as being the spellcasters and sisters. And in the middle of this, there is a pedestal, and on the pedestal there is a large, but not, grotesquely so, carapace that is resting on that. And even from here, you can see all the markings that put on this thing, not just on the outside, but on the inside of it as well. That it has so many of these, like battle tallies or event tallies, that they're overlapping each other. There are so many on this thing that it's got to be Murgic's carapace.
Thank you for listening. We're now reaching out to extermination companies for their suggestions on this situation. We'd love to have yours as well. Contact us at Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at The Empire's Edge. As a follower said, that Zell and Cam isn't going to pay for itself. Support us at subscribestar.com/the-empires-edge.